Morning, John.
Good morning, David.
How are you? I'm glad you called.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad I called you. I'm very, very, very glad to hear that you like the title of that is Rudbeckia and Friends. On the canvas prints, I don't write anything on the prints anymore. Anyway.
Yeah.
So it's unnamed and anyway, whatever. I'm very, very glad that you like it.
Well, it is really lovely, and we both liked it a lot. And I was glad that I had a spot I could hang it up in the studio where other people could enjoy it. And unfortunately, I'm just beginning a class,
Oh, okay.
so let's try to talk again a little bit later.
Okay. Very good.
Okay, thanks, John.
Bye bye.
Bye. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Are you guys warm enough over there?
Hardly. But yeah, no, we're making it.
I couldn't believe I came downstairs this morning, not to the basement, but to the first floor, and the temperature was 54.
Ugh.
Uh, and I the we have a new furnace and it's
Yeah.
doing its job, but it just can't keep up with the cold.
Wow. Oh, I was thinking maybe your heat turned off or something, but I don't.
No,
It can't keep up.
no. What
Wow.
this new we have water goes through the radiators, and
Oh,
and so what it does is the furnace heats the water up until it gets as hot. I think it's 195 is as hot as it'll go.
right,
And when it hits 195, it turns off.
right.
And then when it gets back to 180, it heats up again. So it's almost continually heat coming up, but it's not enough,
Yeah, yeah.
which is kind of interesting. We've never run into that issue before.
I I feel like the wind, like
Yeah.
any little draft, it's different than just being cold.
Yep.
It just ripped. Yeah, because like downstairs, we were like, okay, I was Kai kept being like, it's gonna be cold, and I was like, this is not cold. Shut in my office next to my computer that like pumps out, like that's basically a space heater. I'm like, it's not cold. What's everyone talking about? Frostbite. And then we went upstairs, and I was like, our bed is an icicle.
Oh no.
Yeah, yeah. I was thankful we had hot water bottles are great. You,
Yeah.
pour some boiling water in there, stick it in your sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
We have because Jane did massage for so many years. She had gotten the heaters that she puts on the table,
Oh.
and so we have one of those in each of where we sleep.
Right.
So we can have heat anytime we want it in bed.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But when you get out,
Right.
and my heaters down here in the basement are doing pretty well. It's not as warm as I might like it to be, but it's not bad.
Right. Keeps the pipes from freezing.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything from our tenant, so I guess he's okay.
Yeah. As long as the car is moved in a couple days,
Yeah.
sure they're over there.
Well, he's a contractor. This new,
Yeah.
and he did a repair. We've had a problem with the water freezing over there when it gets below 14
Right.
for years, and he went in down below where the pipes come up from the ground, and wrapped them in heat tape
Nice.
that plugs in, connects to the electricity upstairs.
Oh, cool.
And apparently that really seems to have taken care of the problem, although I haven't talked to him today. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's the real test there. If it made it through that, it's that's golden.
yeah, and I hope that the heater over there is pumping out enough heat. So
Right.
I mean, we just haven't dealt with this before. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's no. I don't watch news or anything, and I was like, Kai kept saying, it, I was like, yeah. Finally, my phone like sent me an alert, and I was like, exposed skin will get frostbite in 3 to 5 minutes, and I was like, what the fuck? What? And I went out, and like the wind was blowing, and I was like, yeah, so it's really cold.
yes, it is. I only went out for a minute, but it was really cold.
Yep. I'm like, I'm glad I don't work outside.
Well, I am going to bring some more wood in for the fireplace, but I've got enough, I think, on the porch that I don't have to go further. So
Excellent.
anyway, so how's everybody reasonably healthy over there?
Yeah, everyone's good. No colds or anything, and
Good.
Yeah.
Kaya,
happy and healthy.
Kaya was so nice in her response to Jane's mom dying.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
Jane really appreciated what she had to say and the flowers, and
Yeah.
I'm sure she already thanked her, but I
I'll let her know.
We really appreciated it.
Yeah. That reminds me. She wanted me to say that she wants to get over to do a visit, and it's just been so cold.
Yeah.
Cold, and then life. But she hasn't forgotten, and she still really wants to do it. And just she doesn't want to do it when everyone's going to get frostbite in 3 to 5 minutes.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Well, when it warms up a bit. So I guess you knew we didn't do our trip.
You know what? No, I did not know that.
Oh,
I guess I thought you had.
no. Jane's sister got pretty bad COVID,
Oh.
and her brother, who was it was his birthday party we were going to, he got a bad flu,
Oh.
and so the trip got canceled. And then on top of that, Peter, our brother-in-law, his mother died, and so we had Jane's mom died and Peter's mom died,
Holy cow.
and the grandkids were really, I guess, kind of upset because both grandmothers died like within a week of each other.
What the heck? Yeah, that is the craziest run of
Yeah.
time I've heard of in a long time.
Well, it was really pretty sad because her name was Linda Paston, and I had met her 2 or 3 times, but I didn't know her well. But she had had surgery for cancer, like a month ago or so, and done very well, except that there was an ongoing pain issue, and they couldn't seem to resolve it. And she was supposed to have gallbladder surgery, and she made the decision that she just wanted to go home and die.
Wow.
And she did. Like 3 days.
Wow.
Um,
That's okay.
yeah. She's quite a well-known poet, Linda Paston.
you know, like the name, you know, I don't, not up with poets, but like the name, I'm like, oh, I almost know. That
Yeah,
sounds familiar-ish.
yeah. She wrote some beautiful poetry.
I'm
Um,
putting it in my computer here. I'll try to read some after. Um,
yeah.
wow.
So it's kind of a interesting time.
Yeah. Holy cow. Welcome to 2023.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What the? F-
Fortunately, I'm feeling fine.
Perfect.
Been getting good reports from my doctors, and
Oh, excellent.
so that's good. So
Wow.
we're here for other things. We should. I should stop talking.
That's all right. I always enjoy it.
Well, I like to touch base with you.
Yeah.
Questions?
I do. I want to try to avoid um, talking about my questions the whole time. But I also have questions. I really gotta reach out during the weeks. The biggest one feels like for the spine stretch. Um, uh, I feel like I'm squishing my guts.
Uh huh.
Um, and it I don't know if it's supposed to be like one of those things like, oh yeah, it's a massage, you know, like, or I'm just like letting everything collapse and like not doing it. And then kind of in tune with that. Uh, and I feel like the answer is probably just like let it go. But I feel like a tendency as I get more forward, my shoulders really like to kind of creep up. And if there's, besides just like being aware of it, if there's some sort of magic bullet you have of like making, you know, like, because at some point you're like they're not going to stay exactly down. So finding the balance between, you know, what am I like really just letting them lift up, or is it just like my, you know, my back opening? If there's any sort of indication between those two things that I can look for.
Well, there is. I think that they're absolutely tied together.
Okay.
So one of the difficult parts of the first part of bending down is keeping the spine straight and extended above the point that you are bending.
Yes, that's what I have found too.
And if you don't, yes, you will overbend the midriff and thereby close off that or cut down that passage of the energy through there. And often part of that is related to the fact that the head would like to go forward, going down.
Right.
Keeping the neck straight is really essential until you get to where you're dealing with the cervical vertebra, and then of course you're going to bend it.
Right.
I don't have a magic bullet.
Of course.
I wish I did.
Yeah.
It's something you just have to. In the beginning, each time, and we're going to work on this today because I knew you would be needing to. This is not an easy practice.
That makes me feel better because I'm like I feel like I'm really bad at bending over. like realistically, I'm like I should I feel like that's essentially what's happening. Like let gravity take control and bend over, and I'm like this is more difficult than like I don't know.
So this unfortunately this is one of those things where being in person can be really a help because I can put my hands on you,
right,
and feel what you're doing, and also guide you physically as you learn this. So believe me, Andrew, I completely understand what you're saying, and we will work on that.
Okay. Yeah. So go ahead.
Other questions?
Those were the big ones, mostly because that's I was doing that this morning, so they're fresh at the top. So I'm sure I have other ones, but
well, when they come.
So because I feel like I've been trying to do it like in the mirror as much as I can sideways, but then it's always weird of like I'm trying to like look over while I'm doing so I feel like I was keeping my neck straight, but I kind of forgot the word midriff existed, so I think that will
help. So what I was going to suggest is that we really work on this and take actually for the first couple of times, probably really take our time. What I was thinking was that I would do it and talk it with you. I mean, we both do it.
Yeah.
But I would talk us through it because initially you really have to take time because you have to build in the ability to go through those steps of relax the area, sink the chi from the area, dissolve the area, and then bend it as you sink a little.
Mm-hmm.
So that sequence has to happen over and over and over and over. And at first, you've got to really take your time and go through each part of that to make sure you're actually doing it.
Right.
But eventually, eventually at Bruce's or Bill Ryan's level, you can almost just go down and come back up. It's not quite that fast, but it's much quicker. I mean, I can do it much more quickly than how we need to go at the beginning, but I'm not. I also really at the moment I would say that probably I am most comfortable taking a couple of minutes to do it. A minute down and a minute up.
Yeah.
At least. That's about the pace that I do it now.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. I guess the only. Well, we'll go over it and.
Well, what? Go ahead.
I get like. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Essentially, like, at some point, I guess I get bored. I don't know how to say it. Like, not bored, but like, I just get a sense of like I should probably just move on. You know what I mean? Like, from because like I how do you do it without your legs being like, hey, I've been standing here for 20 minutes in a half squat? Like it, or is that just a sign that maybe my structure is not where it should be?
Could be.
Okay. You know what I mean? That
So, what that may be saying is that maybe you're taking a little bit too long.
Right.
And you may be trying to sink too much. The sinking is really subtle.
Okay, I think I totally overdo the sinking like by a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the sinking is simply there is something about, and I don't know, I don't know that I can actually tell you why, but there is something about the slight sink that helps the release and bend of the area.
Okay.
But the sink does not have to be much at all. The bend is whatever it is, whatever that area can let go.
Okay. Because I think I get in my because I have that sense of like the sink was millimeter like almost nothing, and it helps the release. And then I'm like, well, like I'm halfway up my spine. And I'm like, well, I haven't really like I should be like halfway where I think I should be, but it's just like where I think it would look appropriate to be. And so then I kind of like just I don't know. I get my own way as always.
You're thinking too much at that
There you
point.
go. Classic. Okay.
So we should do this.
Yeah, sounds good.
Let me. Whoop! Why do I do that?
Nice picture. There you go.
I don't know why I do that.
The number of times I've left a meeting as I try to like unmute at work, I'm like, oh, I gotta talk. Leave. I'm like, okay.
Sometimes, for some reason, it's really hard to unmute.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to turn sideways so that I don't know whether that'll help you or not, but
Sure.
So just start with feet comfortably together. And step out to shoulders width. Go into that basic structure. So the arms slightly rotated with the thumb edge of the hand can actually be touching the side of the leg. But armpits open, perineum open, sacrum pointing straight down to the earth. Quads slightly release, so you're not as erect as you could be, but you let yourself have that little drop at the quad. And you actually can take the time that we've talked about before to simply be aware of your breaths, of where your weight is on your feet. And feel this as much of the sinking of the chi in your body as you can. Just letting it drop down. And then just focusing on the area of the lumbar vertebra. And just take kind of big groups at first. But try to be aware of those 5 vertebrae and allow that area to relax. And try to sink the chi from that particular area down through your legs and feet into the earth. And then focusing on that area, dissolve it. Ice to water and water to gas. So allowing whatever you can to release And to travel out, actually beyond the boundary of your etheric body if possible. And then allow that area to bend as you sink slightly, keeping everything above it straight. There may not be a lot of bend there. Then think of dividing the middle of your spine into 3 sections. So start with the bottom one, of course. That would be 4 vertebrae in the thoracic. Relax it. Sink the chi out of it. And dissolve. Then let it bend as you sink slightly. Keep everything above that area straight. Do not let the head drop. Don't lift the chin. Then go to the middle 4 vertebrae in the thoracic. Relax that area. Sink the chi from that area. Dissolve it. Ice to water. Water to gas. Don't let your spine collapse. And bend that middle section of the thoracic. Feel it bend. Feel the slight sinking. Keep your weight centered in the middle of your feet. And go to the top of the thoracic, the last 4 vertebrae just below the big vertebra at the base of your neck, C7. And relax. Sink the chi out of that area, down and into the earth. Dissolve that area. And allow it to bend, but do not let the neck bend. And then think of dividing your neck, the cervical vertebrae, into 2 parts. Starting at C7 at the bottom, relax the bottom half of the neck. Sink the chi out of it. Dissolve it. And allow it to bend, but keep the upper half still straight. And focus on the top half of your neck, going up to the base of the skull. Relax. Sink the chi. Ice to water. water to gas. And let it bend as you sink a little bit more. Hold on to that sense of the spine extending, so that while the midriff is bending, it's not closing. Be aware that the joints of the arms are beginning to really open and respond. Focus on the top of the skull. Relax it. Sink the chi from the top of your skull all the way down to your feet. And then dissolve that area. And let everything relax and extend and bend. Feel the top of your skull opening. And then focusing on the anterior side of your spine, come back to that lumbar area. And again, relax, sink, ice to water, water to gas. And then straighten that area a little, but don't lose any of the bend above it. And focus on the lower third of the thoracic. Relax, sink, dissolve. And straighten that area a little. The legs are subtly unbending just as they subtly bend. Focus on the middle of the thoracic. Relax it. Sink the energy from it down through to your feet. Dissolve it. And focus on straightening and opening the spaces between the vertebra and the anterior side of your spine. Then go to the top third of your thoracic. Relax. Sink the chi. Ice to water, water to gas. And then straighten that area. Keep the neck bent. And the bottom half of this cervical area, relax, Sink the chi. Dissolve that area. Release whatever you can. And then let it begin to straighten. Again, keep your focus on the front of the spine, not losing the open spaces in the back. Then focus on the top of your cervical vertebra. Sink. And dissolve that area. And then straighten. And as you do, be very aware of how much the energy increases its flow in your arms. And then focus to the top of the head again. Relax. Sink the chi. Dissolve the plates of your skull. Ice to water, and water to gas. And feel the plates of your skull release and open. And the energy flow into your arms. And then just relax. So did that bring up questions?
No, I don't think so.
How did that work for you?
Pretty good. A little bit better, I think, right? Yeah, I always get like hung up right behind my between my shoulder blades. That's like the spot that always ends up taking the longest. And I have a coming up. I have a really hard time keeping everything above where I'm working from straightening out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's it's good you're aware of that. That's just a matter of practice.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It not any better or worse, you know. I think it's helpful to have the reminders to keep everything open. I end up getting kind of trying too hard and focusing. But yeah. This is hard. This is a hard. A lot of the other stuff we do, I'm like, okay, I think I have a good concept of what's going on here. I get senses of releases and trying to remember to bring everything all the way to the feet and out.
Yeah.
Helps.
Good.
But yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
It is. I won't belittle it, but it is a wonderful practice.
Yeah.
Its potential to help you is just really significant. For instance, particularly I think about, you with your work, that taking a break and doing this
Right. Right.
probably can prevent, um, some of the stress from getting into your
Right.
body
Yeah.
or staying in your body.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And you just have to, I mean, if that pace seemed too fast to you, you can go more slowly.
Yeah. I think when I do tend to go slower, um, I get in a weird way, even though I don't know all of them. Trying to think about it in chunks like that, it like really trips me up. I don't know why.
So how do you feel it? Feel them?
I just because I don't even know. Frankly, I don't even know how many vertebrae we have. I just go as incrementally up as I can feel when I'm doing it, and I try not,
Well,
Uh,
that's fine. I was just
yeah, yeah. No, I don't mind. It's just it's funny. Like I realized it after. I'm like, oh, because like, but the whole thing should have how many parts, and like I start, you know, it is helpful for the landmarks though. I'm like, oh, David's already up there. Like, gotcha.
so. Just for information's sake, the lumbar area has 5 vertebrae, the thoracic has 12, and the cervical has 7.
Okay, 5, 12, 7.
Yeah.
That sounds like a thing I'm gonna write down.
And what kind of sections you work with depends on what you can feel.
Right.
So if you can, I was doing kind of large chunks, but if you can feel smaller pieces, that's even better, because eventually you want to try to feel each vertebra as you do this.
Right. I definitely, I definitely don't. What's the first? What's the very first part called?
Lumbar.
Lumbar. Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on down there. Eventually, somewhere I can start feeling like kinda individual ones, and then up between my shoulder blades, that's like just a big column of ice. But like 3 of them there, and I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, so I'm curious where my 5 lumbar are, but you keep saying it, and I don't believe you, but that's okay. I'm sure they're there.
So it's very easy on the internet to look
Yeah.
at pictures of your spine.
Right.
You might just take a glance, because that's probably easy for you to do.
Right.
I mean, I can send you pictures, but
Yeah, that's fine.
there's
I'm
a
sure I can
million
find it
out
fine.
there.
Yeah.
And it might be helpful. I found it very helpful when I started this, in particular, to look at some pictures of the anterior, the front side of my spine,
Yeah. Okay.
because it's very easy for us to picture the back. We can feel the back. We know
Right.
what that is,
Right there.
but we can't feel the front of the spine. And most of us have never even looked at that before. So
Right.
it can be very helpful to look at a picture of the front of the spine, just to sort of have a visual to work with.
Mhm.
Not that we should visualize, because that's not, we don't feel that's a great technique, but sometimes in the beginning you need to.
Mhm. Right. Right. Right.
So, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Any other questions at the moment, or thoughts?
It seems like at some point up near the cervical spine area, we
Mhm.
we we start to think about what's happening in the arms
Yeah.
more. Um, uh, is I guess why is it just because that's when it starts to become more prominent of a thing that's occurring with what we're doing, or
So there are 2 points at which the energy moves from the spine into the arms.
Mhm.
One is one is pretty much at heart level. It's without having you here, it's hard for me to.
Yeah.
it's 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 down probably about this level,
Mhm.
um, and it goes. The energy separates out into the arms. The other one is at just at C7,
Okay.
at the base of the cervical spine, and so that it's often the release of the cervical spine and the plates of the skull that really stimulates the flow into the arms.
Okay. Yeah. Um, that's good to know, those 2 points.
Yeah. Um, it's kind of interesting because the when we're thinking about, or usually when we're thinking about the flow of the energy from the arms into the spine, we're thinking about that lower connection.
Hmm.
But the upper one, um, which is actually it's about here. It in this particular practice, at least, that's the one that really seems to open and stimulate that flow.
Hmm.
You'll often feel a rush of the energy through the arms if you keep your shoulders and your arms relaxed.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that those are the two spots that I think I have the most trouble with.
Yeah,
Exactly those two spots.
right.
So that's kind of why I was asking. Yeah. So I think I just need more.
And if those, if you have, let me. I had. I'm not going. We're not going to go to anything new today.
Okay.
Let me.
That's
Let
fine.
me.
Yeah.
You might be. Maybe you're glad to hear that. Maybe you're not. We might in the form, but not in this. But let me just do a little bit here because I have some notes about mostly about the head and neck, um, and so would really be kind of helpful, I think.
Hmm.
Um, so the first thing is that there is a real tendency for everything to flop forward when you're going down. So to release too much, which
Hmm.
is what we were talking about in terms of overbending the midriff.
Right.
So you have to be very careful about that. Because if you let it collapse down, what happens is that the chi from the top of your head to your feet gets disconnected. And the reason why your head wants to go forward is that you're encountering somewhere in your spinal cord where you have a glitch or a blockage. And so I think that's what you have in that point between the scapula and maybe also at C7 in the neck.
Hmm.
So you may want, when you get to those points, that may be a place where you really want to take a longer time to dissolve,
Hmm.
to see
Okay.
if you can let a release happen there.
Right.
And it sounds to me like between your scapula is a really solid blockage that
Yeah.
probably will take multiple releases to resolve.
Yeah. Yeah. No, not surprising.
Yeah. When we're coming up, you have the opposite problem. You don't want to have your head go flying back. We've talked about not letting the head go back. So you're separating the yin and yang meridians in the body so that they will open, will operate better rather than be confused. The higher up you go in, the harder it gets. The vertebrae behind the sternum are sticky, so that's the area that you're talking about. Because most of us are just not used to feeling that part of our spine. So you want to have a sense of your spine and chi pushing out the crown of your head rather than it causing your head to go back. So,
Oh,
hmm?
that's okay to do while this is happening.
What?
Um, Having a sense of energy going of out the top of your head.
Yep.
That's good to know. Because that's like I feel like that would happen, and I would like kind of be like, oh, well, it's all supposed to be going down, and like try to like claw it back, and like be like, no, like everything needs to go down, um, and it would like frequently get it. Yeah.
So eventually, um, the next thing we're going to work on is dissolving while standing, which actually is going back to the beginning.
I was gonna say like that sounds familiar. Okay. Yeah.
Well, we had done a little bit of that.
Right. Right.
Now we're going to get, the next thing is we're going to get seriously into it
Okay.
and talk about specifically what the energy gates are and um, work on dissolving those. And the when we do that practice, we want to dissolve in in the etheric body up to the boundary of the etheric body above the head and below the feet.
Okay.
So and again we start at the top and go down. We don't, there are many other forms of dissolving going in all directions, but you don't want to start with those because there are dangers related to that.
Exciting. That's how you know you're getting to the good stuff. You know,
Yeah,
when you can mess it up.
you can, and that's why you don't do this practice more than 3 times in a row
Right.
and have a minimum of 6 hours before repeating that.
Right.
So, what I'd like is for you to do this at whatever rate you'd like to work and let me observe you.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try not to keep you till noon. No.
You can keep me as long as you like.
Can you? Yeah, maybe a little better there.
Good. Well, there were some good, very good things in there. I The one thing that I felt was that you were thinking of the section of your spine staying straight meant vertical. Am I?
No, I I think I know that it's not supposed to be vertical. I know it's supposed to just be straight. You know, like if I could bend just this one. Um, so I it just I just find myself all of a sudden I'm like, gosh, so I kind of stood up. Um, you know, because like I'll find myself in a spot where I feel like I've let my head or my shoulders or whatever, I've let it collapse above where I am, and then trying, you know, in trying to bring it back, I just kind of bring the whole thing up, and then honestly at that point I'm like, I feel like I should just start over.
Well, in a way, you're right, and I did see those repeated corrections. The good thing about that is that you were aware that your head was dropping,
Hmm.
um, and that is hard, keeping the head straight and extending, um, regardless of the angle that you're at, because um, I don't know whether you could see me when we were doing it together.
But yeah, I peaked.
Yeah. Well, I am recording, so
Right, I figured.
you can look at it. But I go. I was not going as far over today as I do sometimes,
Hmm.
but um, like Bill Ryan, who really was the one that I learned a lot about this from, as well as Bruce. But he often went clear over till his hands were practically touching the floor.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I mean, he was at the end when he was completely
Right.
bent. Um, so you don't have to stay vertical with that straight section. That straight section, it stays straight, but as you're bending here, it's going to bend forward,
Right. I
and it just keeps going, and it um, so and how far that is entirely up to you. But you don't want to feel that you've gotten to the end of supposedly opening the posterior part of the spine and you're still vertical.
yeah. Yeah. That's where I keep ending up. And it's um I don't know what's going on with it. You know what I mean? Because like I fully understand like it should open and then open and then open and then you'll have you
Yeah.
know, the bottom will be bent and the rest will be straight and eventually you'll be with your hands almost on the floor, right? And you know, or whatever. Um,
That's a matter of getting to where you can feel that.
yeah, it because like what I do feel is like it's like everything opens. Like I physically like I can hear the space popping open, like you know, popping a joint up, you know. But it's like then I don't know. I don't know. I just stand back up. Just stand back up, and I'm like, what? I get about like to the after the, I don't know, to about the middle, and it's about there. I'm like, you haven't bent over. Like you like obviously you opened something a bit all the way up because like I could kind of feel it or in the last few, but like you know if you're halfway up your spine, you shouldn't still be standing.
No, you shouldn't still be vertical. No.
Right, right. Yeah, standing.
And what that's well, you may indeed have been getting some opening. You're limiting the amount of opening that you can get.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I got. What's weird too is though, like, I don't know. It feels like a lot of stuff is going on, and I'm like, I don't know. Like I in the middle, right in the middle between the shoulder blades, I feel like I spent a long time and actually got one of them to the lowest one. I don't know the numbers or anything to open, and it was like a lot
Cool.
of relief. And I was like, this is like almost an You know, I was like for a moment, I was like intimidated by how much stuff was going on, and then I got this one to do the same, and I was like, very big. I don't know how to describe that. And I was like, this. I don't want more release right now. I don't know. So yeah, I don't know what that is.
Well, it's something new and different, and
Yeah,
if it's large or feels large to you, then that can be disconcerting. I understand that.
I I think it felt like I was actually aware of, because we talk about like the ethereal body out
Mhm.
here, right? But you've also mentioned that they also go in, and I felt like it was the first time I've ever felt the first layer in, and then my skin like surface, and then another layer out here.
Oh,
I felt
good.
like I had, so
Uh-huh.
I don't, I don't know, David.
Well, no. Andrew, that doesn't sound. It doesn't sound bad, and it doesn't sound weird. You're just beginning to feel those connections.
Yeah,
Um,
I guess it is super weird. What it? I'm telling myself it's weird because it's one thing for you to be like, oh, you've got like 7 energy bodies or however many. Sorry, I don't remember. And like, oh, they go out, they go in. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, I get it. But like, to actually directly experience it, I'm like, oh boy,
yeah,
I don't know.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly, absolutely. So my feeling is that you're on the right track.
yeah,
Um, you just have to let yourself go a little bit more.
right. Literally,
And
literally bend over.
yeah, that part of it. And also recognize that what you're feeling is not strange or unusual or bad.
Right.
It it's just beginning to really feel.
Yeah.
And at first that's like, ooh, where did that come from? Um, I never felt that before. you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's kind of strange, but um, you'll get used to it.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good reminder. Um, it's one of those things where like you thought you knew a thing. You know, I was like, I thought I was aware. I've had moments where I'm very aware, and I've touched something that wasn't there when I was in those moments. I'm like, I wasn't aware at all.
Exactly. Well, that happens,
That's,
Andrew. That happens over and over and over.
yeah.
That's just part of this whole discovery. I mean, that's it's like I felt like in studying with Master Joe, that he opened up so much to me. I was like, how much more could there possibly be? Well, Bruce has made me understand that I have just begun to touch what there is out and in.
That's wild.
Well, it is. It's really, and it is kind of weird. I can understand feeling that way at first,
Yeah.
but I guess what I'm saying is, don't be afraid of it.
Right. Yeah.
Just say, "Whoa, yeah, that is a little weird. It's different." Um, and I haven't felt that before, but that's great. That's
Yeah.
just beginning to open up more. Um, so keep practicing. I really, I know that I've emphasized this before, but this particular practice, as you were working there, I was thinking when the spinal stenosis really hit me, the first time I went to get a cortisone shot in my spine, um, I could barely walk. I was in such pain that I could hardly move, and I couldn't move very fast, and um, I nearly despaired when I discovered that for whatever reason I was at the wrong door of the building and I had to go to a
Oh.
different door. I mean, I
Mm.
I was not in a good place,
Yeah.
and I thought, oh, I'm going to have to do these shots for the rest of my life in order to function because it really helped. And so for the first three times, I went, and I could only get them once every 3 months.
Right.
And I kept going because I thought that's what I needed to do. But at the same time, I was doing this and a lot of other practice, really trying to focus on that and adding a lot of stretching and strengthening. And I've been doing everything I could do. And now I haven't been back for a shot. It's been, I think I'm going on 8 months.
Nice.
Um,
That's wild too.
yeah,
That's a
it
huge
is.
difference.
And I'm not, I mean, yes, I have some times when I have some discomfort, but I don't have that debilitating kind of pain that I had.
Right.
And I haven't gone back to it. I mean, it's, and I'm not having to get the shots, which I'm also very happy about.
Yeah. Right. Even just.
So, but it took me a while.
Hmm.
It didn't happen overnight.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I keep learning that lesson over and over, but uh, so anyway, I don't know if that's meant as maybe an encouragement.
Yeah. Yeah. No. It's taken that way too. Yeah.
So keep playing with this,
Hmm. Yeah.
and we can, we will keep looking at this, but I'll also probably progress onward too.
Okay. Yeah.
And obviously, we're not getting to the form today. Do you have any particular
Oh,
form
sorry.
questions at the moment?
I've just been going through what what I have. I will. I do. I don't know them now. I'm sure it's just parts where essentially it's always just I have islands, and then I need to like go look at a video and be like, oh, that's what goes there. So usually that's it. I've tried so not super much. I've tried playing with um, kind of taking what's happening here and putting it there, and that's a lot. So I don't do that.
Sometimes it can be too much. I mean, eventually, yeah, all this goes in that.
Right.
You've got time.
Right. These are so much easier to stuff into a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Working
do.
on one of these for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So
No, I completely understand, and I know you have a busy life, and I appreciate that, and I recognize that you do practice. I see that. So
That's good. Thank you.
yeah, no, I do. We'll try to be a little more aware of saving some time for form next time.
Or maybe just flip it around. Start with form.
We could do that.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
awesome.
All right. Well, take care.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Say hi to all your lovely family.
Yeah, I'll let him know. And I reminded you about what Kaya said, so that was his
Yes, I
thing.
will. Okay.
Awesome.
Great. Take care.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Stay well.
Stay warm.
Yeah, that too.